So I won't lie, this one took forever, but I'm glad I finally finished it. Hi everyone, my name is Mo, and I had asked if you guys would be interested in a Draw My Life, and I saw that some people were, so let's get started. I was born in 2004, and I had five siblings. I'm the youngest. So, three siblings on my mom's side and two on my dad's, and my older sister is 20 years older than me. I'm mixed, so my dad is white and my mom is black, and I like to joke that I'm gray. My mom is from Jamaica and she is an immigrant. She was born in Kingston, and my dad, he was born in Boston. We don't know where he came from. My dad told me that our ancestor was an orphan at 8 years old and came on a ship from Italy. But we aren't really sure because there's a lot of conflicting stories in our family about where they came from. So we'll just go with that. My dad was born on a farm with his dad. However, there was some disagreements with a hearing aid, and my dad was basically exiled from the farm, and his side of the family never really cared about me. But we were fine with the family that we had. So, on to me as a kid. So, when I was younger, I somehow got to go to camp. It wasn't like a real camp, but it was still like a camp. And one of the main activities that I remember is archery. So, what would happen with archery is that if you were right handed, you can shoot the arrows twice. However, I was left handed at the time. So, I devised a plan. I would practice every day writing with my right hand until I could write perfectly. And I somehow tricked them into thinking I was right-handed, and it was a whole thing. I remember a kid just shouting out, they cheated, they're actually left-handed, but no one believed them. But the joke was on me because I actually stick to writing with my right hand, and I now consider it my dominant hand. At some point in time in elementary school, I get tired of having long hair, so I cut my hair. What actually happened is my cousin and I played barbershop, and I got short hair. My mom and dad were really mad at me for the longest time. Another interesting thing in elementary school, my friend, his brother at the time was trans, and it was a whole thing because that was the first point in time that anyone really interacted with a trans kid in that school. And it was the first time I've ever heard of the word trans. We didn't have a lot of things as a kid. I would say we were kind of like broke, but my mom didn't like to say that we were poor. So we'd have to use workaround words to say that we couldn't afford most things that kids could afford in that area. What we did was, since we couldn't afford cable, we got a Fire Stick. And I was actually able to watch all my favorite YouTubers on the television. And at this point in time, I started doing some art, and I became self aware at age 11. My dad actually got a Chromebook from Goodwill, and I got to go on the internet. And my sister somehow got a phone, and I was able to borrow it, and I met my first best friend on Undertale Amino, and we're still friends to this day. I would say I had a pretty normal, happy childhood, but then it changed. My dad let us know that he had pancreatic cancer when I was 11, and that kind of broke everything in my brain. I was confused for the longest time. In 2017, my sister, who was in Italy at the time, graduated college, and we decided to take a trip to see her for her graduation. But my brother didn't want to go, so it was just my mom, my sister, and my dad. And this was my first trip out of the United States. It was so fun, and it was the happiest trip that I ever could have gone on. But as all good things, it came to an end. At the end of the trip, my dad asked me where I wanted to go, if I wanted to go back to America with him or if I wanted to go to Jamaica with my mom. And I decided that I wanted to go to Jamaica. Um, I had told my friends that I was moving, so I didn't want to look like a liar to them. But I actually ended up regretting that decision because I went to school in Jamaica and I was bullied a lot. I ended up not really liking school, and it felt very unsafe to me at the time. At the end of 2017, like near Christmas time, my dad came down to visit us from America, and everything seemed fine, but things started to go downhill from there. I remember them opening the door of the car and trying to get him inside, and he's walking, but he can't see, and he falls on the seat, and his legs are still moving because he thinks that he's still walking. And that's the last time I see my dad. We have to fly over to America, and he has to go and get emergency treatment. But by the time that we arrive, it's already too late and he's in hospice. They decided to stop treatment and he gave up. My dad was completely unresponsive, and I don't know the decision that was made at the time. I was just a kid. But we slept at the hospice for the night, and I remember closing my eyes and I wake up and my mom is shaking me, and I look at her and she says, "Your dad is dead." And I look at his body and he's just cold. On January 22nd of 2018, my dad passed away, and I went back to school in Jamaica. The only thing of note from that time frame is that I switched schools and I got to meet my second best friend, who I'm still friends with to this day. I like to think that we are forever friends. I ended up moving back to America to finish high school, and the craziest thing happened, COVID, and everything just came right back. I fell into major depression. I didn't want to do anything. I lost complete motivation in just life in general. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to read. I didn't want to write. And it was very difficult. My mom eventually got fed up with me just not doing anything. So she took me to the doctor, and they decided that I would go on antidepressants and I would take art therapy. The therapist didn't really end up helping me at that time. She actually kind of ghosted me, and I never heard back from her again. But she did help me in finding my comfort place. I like to say that it's my mind's eye. So what we did was she had me imagine a place that made me happy, and I had to draw it. And the thing that made me happy at that point in time was the color pink. I don't know why. It was just very soothing, and I really like it. And it's my favorite color. So I made a little beach for myself. And sometimes I just imagine myself on that beach with like waves crashing and the sand underneath my feet. And I'm just there on that beach, just hanging out. I did eventually get better with my depression, and I was able to get off of the antidepressants and just sort of like move on with my life. But at the end of high school, I was just sort of in limbo. I just went through like the motions for the past like 4 years, and I wasn't really feeling school. I didn't really enjoy it, and I ended up just graduating in 2023, and I went straight into the work field. Ended up having a very long talk with my mom, and I was able to patch things up between us. However, things didn't really last, as at some point in time, my mom didn't come home, and we realized that she had been detained by ICE. It was a whole long process getting my mom back from ICE. My sister had to have the help of a lawyer to get her released, and by the time that they released her, ICE had forgotten that she was even in the system in the first place, and just forgot that she was there. My mom decided that the country had become too hostile, and she left America and went back to Jamaica for good. She said that she is never coming back. The only problem was that I didn't really have anywhere to live. So I just started working. I stayed in an apartment with my brother, and I started working at a pet sitting job. And what I had to do was I would drive to people's homes and I would watch their pets for them. And this was really fun for a while. I would just take pictures of their dogs and send them to the people. However, things got bad real quick. I'm awoken by something in the middle of the night, and I look outside the window, and the repo man came and took away my mom's car. So I didn't have a job anymore because the car got repossessed, and I had to tell my work that I can't come in because I can't drive anywhere, and I ended up losing my job and my source of income. At this point, I was getting kind of worried because without a job, I would quickly become homeless, and it didn't seem like anyone really wanted me. But luckily, my sister, who was in Texas, she decided that she was going to help me out, and she asked me to come live with her while she was stationed there. Ever since then, things have been kind of in a standstill. And last month in April, I realized that I wanted to become a journalist. And I started this whole journey to try and achieve my dream. And now we're here at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking by. My GoFundMe is in the description. I'm going to spend the next couple of days trying to achieve my dream and doing everything I can to get to university. So I'll see you all very, very soon, and bye-bye for now.